Welcome to my channel. My name is Shankari and I run a series of workshops called Mindfulness with Shankari. In each workshop, I go through a simple practice of mindfulness based on the three aspects of our physical being. So, in order to practice mindfulness, we bring our awareness very consciously into our physical selves by using physical tasks, physical movements. So, these can be vigorous exercise or very simple, gentle yin exercises that we will incorporate into our practice. The second is using elements of breath and breath work techniques that we practice several different ones to develop several different emotional and mental states, and as well as connection with our physical body. And finally, we go through the meditation itself, which is a practice of gently focusing our awareness or conscious awareness into different aspects of physical body, along with our breathing, and finally into a space of no mind, which is trying to or attempting to empty the mind in a way that we observe thoughts, we observe the activity of the mind rather than reacting to it. So, mindfulness, the practice of mindfulness that I do is a very simple practice and is a very introductory practice. So, if you have been struggling with practicing meditation, if you have been struggling with getting that simplified, peaceful experience when you are practicing meditation or when you are sort of trying to relax and not being able to, this practice will allow you to finally find that center, finally find that inner calm and inner peace simply by bringing your conscious awareness back into your physical body, back into your emotional and mental aspects, without having a need to react, without having a need to judge. So, why do I say these things? Why do I say the need to react or the need to judge? Most of our mental activity that causes pain or that is difficult to process, most of our emotional reactions to our mental activity. So, emotions are a response to things that are happening around us. It in itself is not the cause of something. So, we react to thoughts emotionally, we react to experiences emotionally. And when we cannot process these emotions or we cannot understand these thoughts and why they are occurring, our emotions multiply. And when we want to find a semblance of peace, when this becomes overwhelming, we have to go back to basics, so to speak. We have to begin to understand the workings of the mind. We have to begin to understand the processes of emotions and our physical response cycles. So, how do thoughts become stressful? Thoughts become stressful when we feel powerless to stop them. Thoughts become overwhelming when we have a feeling of helplessness. And as long as we can do something about it, we're okay. We can move forward. But when we feel stuck, when we feel helpless to a particular thought, helpless to a particular worry, which is a series of difficult, helpless, or powerless, agitating thoughts, then we start to respond emotionally in a negative way. So we start to feel worry within us. We start to feel tense, agitated, frustrated. We react. We become angry. We become frustrated, and we respond or react to people impulsively. And when that goes on every day, your body sort of becomes very tense, and you become very physically contracted, and it then becomes difficult to explore new things or explore avenues to help balance these energies within us. So balance worry with peace, balance emotional stress with calm. So within the mindfulness practice that I do with my clients, we help ourselves by by practicing techniques, very simple techniques that you are um, usually using every day, like breathing. So we regulate our breathing to um, sort of ignite or inspire a certain physical response, to inspire an emotional response, and by doing so the mind sort of starts to regulate itself too. So is there a space of no mind? Not yet. So reaching a space of no mind is a very, very conscious practice of continual mindfulness. So, first, it would be that you have many thoughts that come in. So, the first time you practice mindfulness, it will be a little bit difficult, a little bit frustrating, a little bit overwhelming, because the first time you sit down, the first time you choose consciously to focus your awareness inwards, to see what's going on physically, to see and observe what's going on emotionally and mentally, we start to become overwhelmed by the amount of things and processes that go on every day within us alone. So our physical body is doing thousands of processes without us being aware of it. So it is taking care of us, and we don't even pay attention to what's going on. The same way our emotional body protects and sustains our life and our physical self in this world, i.e., how we react to things and experiences that are occurring, how we avoid something that is not pleasant. So let's say you are walking in the street and that group of people by the side who are, not very calm or getting rowdy, you know how to react, you know how to respond by going the other way, or you're aware of that sense of, yes, I have to practice caution here. So that's how our emotional selves alerts us. And and then we have our mind trying to accomplish 5 or 10 tasks in a given time. If you have children, you have to pick the children, you have to make food for the children, you have to then accomplish all the tasks that you need to do for your household and for yourself personally. If you're in a job as well, you have to accomplish those tasks. So the mind is doing so many things. So is the emotional self, and so is the physical self. So a lot of the time we're so focused everywhere else, we hardly take the time to bring our focus back into ourselves, bring our awareness back into ourselves. And this practice takes time. So the first time you look back, it's very overwhelming, and it can be overwhelming for a certain period of time. Not always, not always. Sometimes when the physical, emotional, mental self are tired enough, when the practice has been, when life has been too much, if you can come into a state of peace more naturally, more easily, because the body, the emotional self, and the physical self is ready to rest. So, but other times when it's not tired enough, or when it takes longer, you will see that it can get overwhelming. And the most important message for me here is to let you know that that overwhelming feeling, that sort of, this is too much, I can't look here, is nothing but a reaction. Is your reaction to sort of because you've not seen that for a long time. You've not noticed all the different things that are going on. It can get overwhelming, but it's nothing. It's nothing, because all those things have been happening day in and day out for you. And by you not noticing it and suddenly noticing that nothing is going to happen, you have to trust yourself that you are safe being in this position of awareness. You are safe just looking, you are safe just seeing. And all this practice of awareness is to allow ourselves to be okay, to be non reactive, and when we don't need to be. So, not acting on impulse, not acting just because we feel we need to act, because there is a sense of fear within us, there is a resistance to certain things within us. So, for instance, we might resist a particular emotion that does not feel so good. So we might resist sadness. We might resist feeling helpless or powerless. We might resist those things because they don't feel so good within us. But the first practice is to look at resistance and just observe it. You don't have to react. So, in a way, this is a practice in detachment. So, taking ourselves a step back. So, if you want to understand this analogy, there is an easy way to do it. So, if you're sitting somewhere and doing you just imagine yourself sitting on a seat or in a chair. Imagine that if you can, bring your awareness just outside of yourself. So, in a way, you're sitting there. You have an awareness that you are sitting there, right? So, it's like moving backwards, and you can almost see yourself sitting there. However, you're sitting, the clothes you're wearing, the hair, the back of your head, you can see yourself, or you can see yourself from in front of you. So you watch yourself, how your eyes are moving, how your lips are moving, or if they are not moving at all, how your shoulders look. So, and then you see there is separation between you, the distinct difference between the part of you that is observing and the subject of observation. It goes the same way with everything that goes on within us. So there is our feeling or our emotion, and there is the part of us that observes that emotion or senses that emotion. So when we start to begin to see these things as things we are sensing, then we start to realize there is a distinct difference between who we are in essence, in being, and the object of our sensation. So what we are observing using our senses or awareness. So we can sense something physically. You can sense a particular, let's say you're eating something and you're tasting something. You sense that physically. It tastes like something. Yet you are not the thing that you sense. You are not sweet, or that sweetness that comes, perhaps you've had a slice of cake. Let's say you are in a place where you hear something, you hear a shout, or you hear the birds singing, and yet you know that you are not the sound that you are hearing, right? So it's very much the same way. When we feel an emotion, we are sensing an emotion. When we think a thought, we are also sensing that thought. And most of the time, you're not consciously thinking thoughts. Thoughts just appear, right? You just sense them. So are you your thoughts? No, you are not your thoughts. So if you're not your thoughts, can you be the stress that comes about because you have thought that thought? No, you're separate. You're separate from that stress. you are not your stress. So stress is a reactional element of you that is responding to that thought. So likewise, it goes the same way in the opposite direction. So if you are thinking a thought that brings joy, you're not that thought. You are not the joy either. You're sensing that joy. So what is this aspect of us? So there is an inner essence within us, an inner part of our being that is completely, we can look at it as an inner self. And in most practices that integrate meditation, that integrate mindfulness, any practice, even within spirituality, we call this essence the self, and in capital letters. So this is the part of you that is eternal. This is a part of you that you can say immortal in some ways, because it is not moved by physical things that occur. It is not like the physical body that can disintegrate when you leave, when you die. And it is not like the emotions that fluctuates and changes all the time. Neither is it the mind, because the mind is so airy, is so up there. This part of you is not any of these things, but is an inner essence. And the whole purpose of meditation, mindfulness, is to discover this essence, discover this part of you that is truly you. Some people call this aspect the self or the soul, and it is difficult to quantify this aspect. It is difficult to qualitatively describe this aspect. And what it is that part of you that you will know when you experience it. So even then, as I am saying this, experiencing yourself, there is a separation, right? There is a separation between my description and the actual self experience, the experience of the self. And so in ancient Buddhist practices, in ancient Hindu practices and philosophy, the entire purpose of meditation, the entire purpose of any spiritual practice is to attain that self-awareness or self-realization. And this is in fact a union between our physical essence and our eternal essence. So what is the difference between our physical essence and our eternal essence? Our physical essence is transitory. It is temporary. It comes and it will go someday. It will leave. But our eternal essence is, it is unmovable, unchangeable, and it is very, very difficult to describe to you. But there are words that in Buddhist philosophy that I use: nirvana, and in Hindu philosophy it's called moksha, which means union with the self, union with the eternal, immovable, unchangeable self. And so all of these practices, in addition to becoming calm, in addition to having a more fulfilled life, is to achieve this union with yourself. And why do we need to achieve this union, right? What is it all about? I've lived this long and I've not had this union, or maybe I have and I don't know it. Why do we need to have conscious union with ourselves? The part of us that lives in this world, the part of us that is a part of this world, having a daily life, having a family, being born into this world, is an element that has come about because the eternal self has desired it to be so. So you're not here by chance. You're here for a reason. You have a purpose. and you are particularly unique. There is no one, absolutely no one in the world like you. Your DNA will tell you that. And excuse me. And even your DNA is not shared by your sister, by your brother, by your parents, only you. So you are so unique and you're so fundamental to this entire universe, to this entire existence, that only you exist like you. And there is a very simple analogy. Um, when we ask this question about why are we here, why are we here at all, right? Why existence? Why human? Or why this world? Why have existence in this way? Why have a physical body with two arms, a nose, two eyes? So why particularly this way? So when we start to ask these fundamental questions, and we start to ponder about our existence, we may have an existential crisis, but not always. Um, but when we start to ask these questions, we start to question, right? We start to ask the question, why are we this way, and why have we come here? Why has existence chosen this form in this life? Is it a chance, by chance, a set of probabilities that have gone this way? Perhaps, but life is too determined for it to be completely chance. Life is too particular, life makes too much sense for it to be completely by chance. So we can look at this in a way that there is an intelligence greater than us. There is a cosmic awareness bigger than we are. And sort of practicing our awareness, or turning our awareness backwards in on itself, to observe, to look at who you are, what's going on within you, is in a way seeking that union with this greater intelligence, seeking that union with this greater self, and the self that is an element of the greater universe. So we are a microcosm within a macrocosm. If you see the entire universe, the galaxies, the planets orbiting around a solar system, they're very similar to the physical atom, and the atom of an element, say. So we have electrons orbiting around a nucleus. We have a nucleus as much larger than the electrons orbiting around it. So we are a microcosm within a macrocosm. So whenever we take the time to look back on ourselves, whenever we take the time to see what's going on within us, to become one with ourselves. And when I say become one, becoming in alignment. So our physical selves, our emotional selves, and our mental selves are all in alignment with itself. We're one human being going in one direction, moving with the flow of life, moving with our pushed forward by the things that inspire us, pushed forward by the desires of the experience we wish to have. And by doing all those things, we are also looking at observing how we're doing those things. We're also enjoying that experience of doing those things. So many elements are part of being human. So many elements are a part of experiencing this world. And when we are so so physically bound in this experience without noticing the bigger picture, without being aware of this bigger element, the macrocosm, this whirling, swirling around us, we lose half of that experience. We lose half of that joy, that beauty, that intensity. So we want to get all of that back. We want to have this union with ourselves. We also want to experience the union with the greater macrocosm, greater intelligence, the cosmic, the cosmic consciousness, so to speak. So the whole process of mindfulness is that taking that step back, taking that step, turning yourself to yourself, turning yourself inwards so that you see everything. You see everything within, you see everything without. And this is a little bit about how I would describe mindfulness, how I would inspire and encourage you to practice this as part of a daily practice, as part of your experience in this world. And my wish is that you attain that fulfillment of life, that fulfillment of being completely here, completely present with yourself, and use that full power, full essence of that energetic presence that you can bring to your life and share it with the world and share it with those you love and inspire them to do the same. And when we are fully embodied, when we are fully present, when we are fully here in complete experience and in complete knowledge of that experience, we are super powerful, we are super conscious, and then life changes. Life looks very different. I promise you that experience is completely different. And when you feel it, when you want it, when you can, when you sense it, it's almost that you can feel it's there. That feeling is powerful and it can move the world. If you're looking for change in the world, this is the way to do it. Look at that part of you that is cosmic consciousness. Look at that part of you that is eternal. Move towards that part, and everything, all of life changes. Fulfillment is yours. Beauty is yours. Super consciousness is yours. Thank you very much